I also had a similar situation and Boone couldn't make it, so.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then I made it here and then I got a.
You make good time from Silver Lake,
I'm
actually. Yeah, like you must have booked it.
Way to put the pedals in the middle.
Okay. Let me get my brain together. So where are we? What are we doing? We're at the beginning.
We're at the beginning. We're gonna take it from the top.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You got
Okay. All right, calling us to order at 5:20 p.m. Thank you all for your patience. I will start with the land acknowledgement. The Altadena Library District acknowledges its presence on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded land of the Gabrielino Tongva peoples. Altadena is located on the stolen homelands of the Ha'amonga tribal band. The traditional territory of the Gabrielino Tongva is referred to as Tabangar, which includes the areas currently known as the Los Angeles County, Riverside County, West San Bernardino County, parts of Orange County, as well as the 4 Southern Channel Islands. Entities such as the U.S. government and non-native settlers have subjected the Gabrielino Tongva peoples to historic and continuing injustices, including genocide, forced displacement, and cultural and linguistic erasure. Altadena Library commits to learning, educating, and informing its staff and residents of present-day Altadena about the rich histories, vibrant communities, and culture of Gabrielino Tongva people, present and past, through our collection development, resources, and program offerings. All right, so now I will do a roll call. Trustee Ramus. Did I get it?
Got
I
it.
got it.
Nailed it.
Trustee Clark.
Here.
Okay, and I am here. And do we need to do anything to acknowledge people are not here? Just keep going. Okay, good. All right, then, is there any reordering of the agenda items?
Nope.
Then may I get a motion to adopt the agenda?
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That's great. Is there any public comment? So the consent calendar, may I get a motion to approve the consent calendar?
Motion approved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Okay, department update. So we have our department update reports in the package. Are there any comments or questions for staff on the reports?
I just wanted to say that I appreciate so much every month seeing all the photos of everything everybody does. And also, you're right. I can't believe how many programs happen this summer. Like, I know I looked at the list, but seeing the photos of them is crazy. So it's absolutely incredible.
That guy.
Right.
A parent that was in a car wreck.
Oh,
And
no.
there was in a car wreck, the kid couldn't pick the kid up from practice.
Right.
So
Gosh.
we had to drop him off.
Yeah, I should focus on.
It's a day today. Do I need to do anything?
No.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Any other questions or comments about the report? No? Okay. Well done, as usual. Now I'm looking at you, I had one that just popped into my mind. We keep, not, I thought it's been a lot, but I was reflecting on the baby squirrel. We keep getting a lot of, or not a lot, but baby animals, and I think it's interesting that someone's, seeing, just kind of being aware of the wildlife around and what's happening with them. But yeah, it was an interesting little note in the report. I thought it was sweet.
Yes.
How is the baby squirrel? Do we know?
Don't have an update,
Okay.
but
We can call a special meeting. That's- Yeah, we'll just get everybody here.
that's what they specialize in.
Yeah,
You know,
That's really cool.
nurturing baby squirrels that have been abandoned, so I couldn't have found a better home.
good. That's so nice. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yes. Okay. Okay, then moving forward, we have reports and presentations. There was not anything from the support groups or the support groups online?
No, don't have anybody here from foundation or friends.
Okay. And then
I'll just
administrative,
I'll just throw out there. I'm sure if Mark was around, he'd want to remind everyone that Taste of Dina is scheduled for Saturday, October 4th at 6 p.m. So please get that on your calendars. We'd love it if you all can be there. The foundation board, they met before the last time you guys met, so I don't need an update there. And I believe the Friends will have their next meeting on the first Tuesday of September. So they'll be back to meeting again. And that's the update.
all right, thank you. Do you want to roll into administrative updates?
Let's go. Okay. Good evening, trustees, staff, and the many, many people watching this meeting. Greetings from Monterey. I am at the annual California Special District Association annual conference. Right after this is the first kickoff event, so I'll be going to that. I was filmed to talk about the role that CSDA played in helping us identify a lobbyist and work through our issues this year. So I believe I'm going to be in the opening video. I'll let you know how that goes. So excited to be up here. It's the first time I've attended the conference, so we'll see how it goes. So in terms of administrative updates, it's only been less than 3 weeks since our last meeting, so it's not as much to report tonight. I am thrilled to introduce another new ALD team member as well as management team member, Gia Forsyth, who started with us last Monday, the 18th. Gia has been a librarian for 12 years and worked in adult, youth, teen in both public and private and public school, public libraries and public and private schools. She has a really rich history of reading contemporary fiction and nonfiction about obscure historical events. Who would know? Katie, you guys might connect over that. I don't know.
I was gonna say, that's like my jam.
She's also involved with ALA and some of the like selection committees, so that would be an interesting to talk to her about as well. We're really excited to bring her on board. I think her background, enthusiasm, and experience is going to be a really wonderful addition. She hit the ground running last week, and I know she's at the meeting, so I'll turn it over to her if she'd like to say a few words. Yay, Gia, go.
Hi.
Hi, welcome.
Do you have your prepared song and dance?
Yeah, exactly.
Actually forgot that. No. I'm so happy to be here. I've always heard really amazing things about the Altadena library system. And in Santa Monica and other places, it's so exciting to be in a special district because you get to do so many exciting things that aren't possible in big city libraries. So I'm so excited that I was selected for this position. I cannot wait to sort of dig in. I'm still learning the ropes and asking a lot of questions, but I'm just very, very happy to be here and meet all of you. And thank you for all that you do and the other support, the friends and the foundation, because it's really impossible without you guys. So thank you.
Yay. Well said. Thank you, Gia. All right. We will, as you can see from my report, we are also going to be welcoming our new Youth and Family Services librarian. Sam Schwartz will be starting with us tomorrow. Sadly, I won't be there in person to onboard her, but I know the management team will welcome her with open arms. She also has a extensive background working in public libraries with City of Goleta, Riverside County, and the City of Monterey Park. Passionate about working with children and families. And actually one of her coworkers recently who I ran into said, thanks a lot for stealing her from us. So I'm really excited to bring her on board as well. So hopefully she'll be around next month to say hello, but really excited to bring these two really pivotal positions into the district as a whole, as well as to our Youth and Family Services Department. So hooray. In terms of recruitment, that's all we seem to be doing lately, it seems like, with promoting Catalina to administrative specialist. We did post the administrative assistant position. We're going to be conducting interviews for that position later next week. So fingers crossed. We had oh, Catalina, what, 100 applications? There was a ton of them. So we're
Wow.
we're very hopeful that we will bring on an amazing person to fill extremely big shoes. I mean, you have very small shoes actually, but big shoes to fill following Catalina's role. But I know her and I are both excited to be able to onboard that person together. We also have our vacant IT specialist position. Again, lots of applications. I was looking at them last night. I think over 50 came in for that one. David, myself, and Edith are going to be conducting interviews for that next week. That, again, is going to be in a part-time capacity this time around. And then we also posted our adult services librarian position in the middle of August. The applications continue to roll in for that, and we plan to schedule an external panel sometime in mid-September. So fingers crossed we'll have that filled pretty soon too. I do have to say, like, we're getting so many applications for every position. It's really encouraging and kind of a swing on the pendulum from where we were a couple of years ago. So it's nice to have like deep pools to dive into to select candidates, and really excited about all the people that we've brought on board. In terms of marketing, as you could see from the report, it's been the Bob Lucas story for the last month or so. There was a ton of coverage ahead of, during, and after the grand reopening. So a big thank you to Bryn for all of those news stories and all the media that she's created around that. The over 500 people that were there clearly demonstrated awareness of the event. It was so successful. Everybody was so pleased. It's just such a wonderful day. She's also been busy, as you know, and you could see through all of the programs that we reported on, promoting our many summer reading programs and activities, all while juggling a difficult family emergency the last several weeks. So although maybe people didn't notice, Bryn was working in a part-time capacity, all while doing all of this work. So I wanted to give her a shout out at the board meeting because she really did a lot of work for us, all while juggling a lot of other things personally. Let's see. So with the Crisis and Recovery Committee, the legislature's been on break, so not a lot to report there. I am going to be meeting with our lobbyist, Jean Hurst, this week to talk about the backfill that we're expecting to get, not only from the 3.6 million that's going to funnel through the California State Library, but also the backfill from AB 100 that will funnel through LA County. So I think we'll have more information to report at next month's meeting. And I will set up time with the committee once Jean and I kind of have a plan, just so you know, Katie and Ray. Bond proceeds reinvestment I won't talk about because we're going to be discussing that shortly. Thank you to Catalina and Christy and Ide Bailey for putting together an updated credit card reconciliation form. I think this has made it easier for the credit card holders to fill it out and streamline the process to get all of that entered into QuickBooks. Catalina really quickly pulled together a training to make sure everybody understood what we're doing, so appreciate that as well. We did have a visit from SDRMA, so Special District Risk Management Association, which is our insurance company, with Daniel and I earlier in the month to talk about all of the risk management protocols we have in place, our illness and injury prevention, workplace violence, et cetera, et cetera. He asked us about a million things. I am really proud to report that they did send us a follow-up report and didn't really have many suggestions for improvement. So kudos to us for the policies and the protocols that we do have in place. Of course, they did point out some things that, you know, we could beef up, training and other things to make sure that everybody's informed on what they should be expected to do while at the library. But again, I thought that was really great to know that we have a really good system in place. So Ashley, Sophia, and Jennifer attended the People of Color in Library and Information Science Summit earlier in July, and I heard only good feedback from the three of them about that summit. It is offered virtually, so really glad that the district's able to support these professional development efforts, and kudos to them for identifying that and attending. So crazy to think our summer 2025 has come to an end. As of August 16th, we'd read almost 200,000 minutes of our $250,000 minute goal. Yeah, 250. I have money on my mind, I guess. So I just also want to give a shout out to all the staff that they spend the entire year, they start planning SRP in September. And you can see that all of that like really intense planning and focus on having the best summer reading program that we can comes to fruition every year based on all of that effort. So thank you to the staff and of course to the managers that lead that effort. Concerts at the park were a big hit, and as a result, and I mentioned this later in the report, every time I attended, I had community members coming up saying like, so you're doing second Saturday, right? And I was like, well, originally we hadn't planned to because Maine was supposed to be closed, you know, same old story we've been telling for a while now. But since we know we're not going to be closing until probably sometime in December, possibly January, we are going to offer second Saturday in October, November, and December. So, and looking at the attendance at the concerts in the park, I really think they're going to be very popular. People are excited to get back up into the community, even if they're driving from all over the place. So that was wonderful outreach for us to be able to do. Of course, as I mentioned, we opened our Bob Lucas Memorial Library and Literacy Center. I don't think there was a dry eye in the house between Bob Lucas's family speaking, community member Veronica Jones, Camila's wonderful story, as well as the surprise to name our literacy classroom after Modesta Nava, who's been our ESL instructor for over 25 years. I just want to like commend the management team and the staff for all the work that was put into what I consider to be a very successful ceremony and ribbon cutting, as well as following celebration that I know everybody really enjoyed. I got such positive feedback throughout and since. So one of the things in the report was also our intern Pasadena 2025 reception. So we had Kate Nye from Pasadena City College, who was an amazing intern this summer. She gave an excellent speech, which was mentioned in the report, and we just loved having her. And I thought it was really great that her supervisors, which were Finn, Ashley, and Carlene, were able to join her and celebrate her internship with PCC. So real quick, besides second Saturday, and by the way, trustees, if you'd like to do an introduction at one of those, please let me know. We love to have you come and introduce the bands and say a few words to the community. We're also going to be hosting the Special District Association of San Gabriel Valley chapter meeting. So I'm the vice chair on the board of that newly formed chapter. I was able to get our featured speaker to be Supervisor Barger, who's coming on Wednesday. Ooh, it's wrong in the report. Sorry, it's Wednesday, September 10th. Shouldn't say 3rd. Wednesday, September 10th at 3 p.m. You should have received an invitation from the chapter, but I just wanted to get that on your radar. If you're able to make it, that'd be great. And I think that's it. So real quickly with statistical update, as you see, I did update it based on the changes that we made last month. To answer your question, Katie, from last month, we included both the eConnect and then the average Altadena connections. So like if you look at that cell, which I made pink this time,
Yeah.
it was 40 and 45. And that right now is currently out of 21,000 email account holders each month.
Crazy.
And it's pretty much stayed the same number for a while. So if that changes significantly, I'll let you know, but that's pretty much what it's typically out of. And then, as I mentioned, we were able to pull most of the Loma Alta statistics this month. Those will show up moving forward, and then we'll have BOP statistics starting next month as well. So happy to answer any questions you might have.
One question, we probably covered this in the Crisis and Recovery Committee, but the disbursement of the funds, was there any more follow-up with the county advancing the funds initially versus, I think it's going to be more like a reimbursement type thing?
That would actually is the conversation we're having with the California State Library. My understanding is that what we get back through the county, that's the 1%. My understanding is we'll get all of that once the county receives it, but it's the 3.6 that California State Library wants us to apply as if it's a grant. So we were waiting on them to send us the application forms, which we haven't received. So I'm going to meet with Jean this week and keep moving that forward. But yeah, I know how you feel, Ray, and I'm aware that I have trustees that will rattle cages, which I will probably like you to do.
I'm up for it. It's up for it.
Other questions for Nikki? Okay, thank you so much. Moving on to our district financial reports.
Okay,
Hi,
good
Christie.
evening. Yep, good evening, trustees, staff, and of course the public. It'll be a brief report tonight. We're only 1 month into the fiscal year. But we'll start on page 45 with the general fund report. You can see that as a percentage, it's less than 1% of the revenue that's been received. It's primarily been interest income. The LA County will not assess, or excuse me, apportion the property taxes until December. So we'll just see little bits trickling in until that time, and then we'll get an idea of the total that'll be assessed for the year. So not a lot going on with revenue. Expenses, we're at 8% of the year, and almost all lines are anywhere between 0 and 10%. They're all in line. The few things that are showing higher are your insurance. So workers' compensation, your property and liability insurance, those are all paid in full at the beginning of the year. So you're seeing them at almost their full budgeted amount. The other items that are paid in full at the beginning of the year that we show as already ahead of budget are your memberships. So different subscriptions, your LAFCO membership, SCLC, those lines. So that's line 29. Those are included in other operating. So that line is showing a little bit above, trending above for that reason. The next lines that are trending above are your technology fees on line 45 and your electronic databases and subscriptions on line 52. And again, just because of the timing, a lot of those are renewed at the beginning of the year, and we want to show those as fully expended so that managers know what they've got left to spend. In total, less than 1% revenue, 17% expenses. So at this point in time, the district is operating by pulling about 810,000 out of its reserve to make the payments that are listed above, but the reserve is a healthy reserve. And I think on page 1, we listed it this year, 50% of your budget is 2.488, and you're around the $4 million mark. I think I have that listed in there. You've got about 4 million, a little less than that in your reserve. So doing well there in terms of cash flow. Page 47 are your donations and grants. What you see in column F, the adopted budget, are the pledges from the different organizations and grants. Altadena Library Foundation, there's 20,000, then I believe there was an additional ask for 15. So we're expecting in the next few months to receive 35,000 from them. Friends, again, renewed at 20,000. And then a couple of the other grants renewed. They are crossover the fiscal years. So you see the money that are there are carryovers that were not spent in 25. They'll be spent in 26. We did receive a miscellaneous donation as well this year for 5,000. The expenses are on track. I mean, they're, again, anywhere from 0 to 20%. The comment I will make about this report is that the district management team made a decision to track a little bit differently. So the board approved a budget based on the different categories of programming. So on line 20, program and materials used to have lines that indicated adult versus teen versus youth. And instead, the presentation, while the total budget hasn't changed, the presentation has moved more to what is being spent at the different locations. They still have categories within there, but this way staff can see what it really takes to operate at the different locations. And then, of course, the individual grants are still spelled out separately. Literacy, lunch at the library, your ZipBooks grant. So 29,800 spent there to date. And the total budget is 129,000 for the year. So you're just at about 10% in total expenses. Any questions about donations and grants or the general fund? Okay, yeah, it's pretty boring for the first month of the year, but there's still a lot being done. Page 48 is your combined summary. And that's just the two of them together, so you can see the percentages from each category. Page 49 is your building project. And again, as we continue to talk, the expenses for Bob Lucas are winding down, and you're going to start to see expenses for the construction, continuing design and getting into construction for the main library. So at this period, you've got 127,000. That does include a donation that was received for 50,000, and then interest income, which continues to be coming in strong at 77,000. Page 50 is your breakdown of the different categories, what continues to be spent on project management and so forth. And you can see that the majority of it for this first quarter is still construction, which are the remaining bills that have come in for Bob Lucas. Not many other expenses in the other categories yet received to date. Any questions on the building project?
Christy, this might be a Jennifer question, but at some point in the next couple months, when we finally wrap up all the Bob Lucas costs, do you think we could get like a full landed A to Z cost on what the project was? Cause I know roughly how much we've spent, right? But like,
Where
it
we
would be
really
great to-
landed, yes. And
yeah,
I think
where we ended.
absolutely. I'll work with Jennifer on that. She's actually probably preparing that right now because she's asked me for a couple things. We want to make sure our numbers tie, but I'll make sure that you have that. Yes, a final report of budget against actual and where you ended.
Yeah, super.
Good.
Thank you.
Good. Okay. Page 51 is your balance sheet, and your total assets are 37.5 million. Same liabilities are about 31.6 million, and most of that, again, or a good portion of that 23 million is your bond payable. The other large revenue items that go into that are your pension liability and your OPEB liability. Those have not been adjusted yet. Those will be adjusted for the audit. The auditors did already perform interim work, but in the middle of September, they'll be performing the rest of the audit, and then we'll see all of those adjustments posted. So healthy balance sheet. And then the remaining pages, the only change we've made there in your narrative is what's in black print still continues to be what's included in each line, just for information's sake, if trustees and others want to know. But what we've started to do with the green is only list highlights. And I think that way, if you see green, there's something going on that needs to be explained in that line. If not, it just means you're trending in line with budget. In the past, we've printed that trending in line with budget. And we've been doing this for a few other clients where we've determined it's a little easier for you to pinpoint what you really need to be aware of. So that's one change we've made there. So if there's some additional print there, it means something is happening outside that you need to pay attention to. It can be positive or negative, but at least it's letting you know to look at that.
I like that a lot.
Yes.
It's much easier to find.
I appreciate
Yeah, thank
that.
you.
Yeah, nobody wants to read 4 pages every time when it's the same stuff. So glad to hear that you think that's an improvement. The final line I will say is line 30 is, or excuse me, I'm going to go back up to line 67 is what I mentioned, the 810 right now coming from your reserves due to property tax funds that won't be received till December, and donations and grants is showing revenue over expenses of 29,845. And actually that looks like a typo to me. Sorry, I'm just going to repeat it for the record. 29 is your actual, no, that is right. 29,845 is your revenue over expenses. Okay. Sorry, I thought I read it wrong. Any other questions? If not, that's all I have for your financial report tonight.
I just had one quick question, and this is just an accounting question because I don't know how it works. But you remember how last time or whatever time we approved the sort of internal loan from basically one account to another? Do we ever show that any place, or is that just kind of an administrative thing that gets reimbursed later?
Which internal loan are you referring to, Katie?
Last meeting,
We approved using some of the is it just straight class money to front the, not front, but to
Yes.
make the bond
The
payment,
debt, the
right?
debt
The
service
service
Oh,
payment.
okay,
The
I
debt
want to
service
make sure
payment.
that's what you're referring to. We do
Yeah.
have something coming up in the report for that, don't we, Nikki? It is an internal thing. It is internal, so it nets together here. But we did just send that money in August. So there will be a note to that, in August. There, you'll see that on the August report.
Oh, gotcha. Okay,
That's why.
perfect. Yeah, because it wouldn't make any difference, right? Because it's gonna zero out because it's coming
Right.
out of one and going to the other. But okay, great.
You
But
will
yeah,
see
it
it in the
will show
audit,
up.
though.
Yeah,
Okay.
you will see it next month
you'll
because
see
I
that.
made the payment like last week.
Super.
And because it's between funds, you will see it in your annual audit report, but again, that's not till next year.
Right. Okay.
So, but good question. Sorry, I want to make sure I knew what you were talking about. Thank you.
Any other questions for Christie? Thank you so much, Christie. All right, moving on to our Board of Trustees Ad Hoc Committee report. We have a report from the Facilities Committee.
It's what you got here. I just will say two quick things. One, just a huge congratulations to staff for the Bob Lucas opening. I mean, I think it can't be said enough. It was such a successful event, but also I think such a needed event. Like I can't think about the last good thing that happened that wasn't fire related somehow. You know what I mean? It's really nice to be like able to do something that's not always a discussion about disaster. So I thought it was just fantastic. I have been excited to hear from people that they're already using the library. That's really cool. So just on Bob Lucas front, we've got kind of two projects that will continue a little bit onward. One is the mural, as you know. This fall, Diana is holding a series of workshops along with some of our former poets laureate and other folks to host a design and then execution process for the mural. So that will happen over the fall. And then we also have, eventually, we're gonna move that bus stop up the street a little bit and fix that curb. But all of those are super minor things. Otherwise, we're pretty much wrapped. On Main, the RFP has been posted, so that is good. I think realistically, we are looking at probably a January hearing date for our final conclusion. They basically don't do hearings in December, which is when we would have been ready. Must be nice. I have to work in December, but okay. So with the sort of mandatory periods that we have for public comment and various pieces coming up, I think we're looking at January. However, we are going to move forward on our bidding process to hopefully be able to lock in a bid on the project sooner rather than later to avoid additional escalation if we can. Justin, anything you want to?
You know, your comments on Bob Lucas, I had a lot of friends and neighbors come out and it really was getting excellent feedback on that. And then, yeah, I think, Main Library, excited to move forward on that. And as you mentioned, our public review process will hopefully be starting imminently. So it'll be exciting.
Any minute now. Yeah, yeah. Oh, I should say one more thing. Sorry. Nikki and I met with Bryn recently to talk about the sort of beginning of our outreach campaign for the main library. So Bryn has a series of videos that she's planned, as well as some other outreach things to sort of address some of the more frequently asked questions we get about like what's happening at Maine, what about the historic architecture, why are we making some of the choices we're making. So hopefully those will be interesting and informative to folks, really based around the questions we get most frequently about the project. So those should start rolling out later in the fall.
Great, thank you. All right. Moving into new business. We have item A, which is the bond proceeds investment agreement. All of these, both of these, I should say, are informational, which is nice. So, Nikki, are you presenting on that? Or is there someone else that's presenting on that?
Our municipal advisor, Michael, was going to be here. I don't see him. I just texted him, but I think between Christy and I, we should be able to handle it, right, Christy?
Absolutely.
So, as you can see from the report, we met back with the Community Facilities District Committee, CFD Committee back in May, with some suggested ways to reinvest the bond proceeds. And just as a reminder, typically when you sell bonds, the expectation is that you spend them within 3 years. So there's not restrictions put on interest that is made on them in those 3 years because they assume by that time they will have been spent. Well, as you're all very well aware, we have not been able to spend the bond proceeds, most of them to this point, and we sold them back in February of 2022. So we're over that 3-year mark. At which, we were advised by Trustee and her colleagues, as well as US Bank, our trust bank, and our municipal advisory firm, and our bond and disclosure council, that we need to look at how the bond proceeds are being invested so that we're not yielding too much interest. So we brought forth some suggested strategies to the CFD committee. And then, what were we waiting on, Christy? I can't remember now.
We wanted to make sure the project was going forward.
Right, that's right.
Yeah,
Okay.
before we made the changes, you were uncertain about your state funding and those pieces.
Right. So we wanted to ensure that we were going to proceed with the main project before we strategized on the bond proceed reinvestment. So once we got the green light, we've had several more meetings with Michael Bush from Urban Futures, as well as colleagues of his and our US Bank, which is our trust bank that's holding the bond proceeds. And what we brought forward to the CFD committee, there's been a little bit of a shift, and that was largely because when Michael Bush was looking into our options within the last, week or two, Kirsty, he identified through conversation with US Bank a way to do it that doesn't cost the district anything to reinvest. And that's setting up a laddered schedule to draw down the money that, okay, you explain it, Christy. That's as far as I can get.
Right. So they'll be invested, you'll hold investments to maturity. So actually, to back up, a 24-month drawdown schedule was provided. There's about $18.9 million. Those that will all be invested at Nikki's direction. She's provided that to US Bank. They will invest those in short-term maturities that as they mature, those funds will become available. The intent is that they'll be spent on the bills. So, and each of those has a return of right around your restricted amount, which is that 2.65, almost 2.65 percentage point. So the only thing that would disrupt that would be if your schedule changed dramatically. But there's enough room and enough, a little bit of money left in money market where I think the cash flow should be just fine. So the idea is that because US Bank can ladder those bonds or ladder those investments with those maturities based on drawdown, they don't have to charge anything additional other than the little bit that we're already paying for them as fiscal agent. So that made sense. We had that discussion, like Nikki said, with multiple people, and just wanted to let you know, since you were all involved in that discussion. Now, in the event that there's a little bit of interest that's earned above that restricted amount, that will be owed back to the IRS. But what they try to do is not short you. So we want the district to earn as much as they can. And if they if there's a little bit they earn over, without penalty, you just provide that to the IRS at the end of this term.
So yeah, it's informational because part of the fiscal agreement that's in place, we're able to authorize US Bank to take these actions as long as we direct them to do so. We had thought we might be setting up another agreement with another consultant, in which case I wanted the board to approve that, but since that's not the case, it's just an informational item.
Right. About a year ago.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, about a year ago, Nikki, you did the same thing since it was with US Bank and instructed them to move them from, because they were invested based on an original drawdown schedule, which got delayed. And so you had recommended or requested them to invest them in a higher yield. And so it's been sitting in a government, kind of a mutual fund type of account, earning about 4%. So same thing was done about a year ago to increase those earnings, and now we're just moving them back a little bit.
Okay, any questions for us?
I'm just sad we don't get to say slugs anymore. That was my favorite part of the whole thing. I just liked seeing it all.
All right, do
Okay.
you want to move to the second, the CalPERS open enrollment rates?
Sure. Thank you very much, Christy. All right, so it is that time of year again. Again, this is just an informational item. CalPERS released the monthly premium rates that will take effect January 1, 2026. Never like to see an increase, but luckily this year it went up but an average 7.76%. Last year it was over 10%. Because of, the budget conditions, we didn't increase the 1675 per month for current full-time employees. We'll probably look at that next year as we see that health rates do continue to go up. But based on the number of staff that we have in the CalPERS health system, the fiscal increase or impact is actually pretty minimal. The estimate this year is that it's only going to increase by 46,000, even with that increase to the CalPERS rate. So we're just recommending that you review and file. And again, this is just an informational item. Open enrollment will run from September 15th through October 10th. So staff can make changes accordingly as they wish, and just wanted to share that information with the board.
Any question or discussion items on that?
I just had one question, and I don't know if these systems interact or not, so it may not be relevant, but there's a lot of discussion presently about how the potential end of ACAs or the reversion of ACA subsidies to their 2021 levels will impact people who buy insurance on the exchange. So I'm curious if that will impact CalPERS rates or affect any of our folks' families, because for folks who are buying insurance on the exchange, they're saying, unless Congress takes action, they're looking at like 75% increases in people's premiums because those subsidies will go away. So that's obviously a drastic change. For existing CalPERS plans, are they forecasting additional rate increases in line with that? I think it's a big question mark about how insurers are going to handle some of this stuff. So have you heard anything, or is there any?
I have
kind of-
not. Christy, have you
Okay.
heard anything?
I've not heard anything, and the only and so it's a really good question or good point, and we'll just have to stay on top of it. But no, I haven't. The only other thing that's great or works in your favor here is just that it's such a large pool of people
Yeah.
that are participating in this that you get to take advantage of some of the discounts, or keeping the costs lower. But that
Yeah.
certainly could have an impact. Yeah, we just have not heard.
Okay.
I'll keep an eye out and see if anything comes out of CalPERS. But no, I
Yeah.
haven't seen anything about it.
Okay.
That's terrible.
Yeah, I buy my insurance on the exchange as a self-employed person, so I'm very closely tracking this.
Mhm.
75%, yeah, because it's crazy.
What's the delta between
So
free rate, regular versus exchange?
okay, so my health insurance right now is like $200 a month with the subsidy. Without it would be about $1,000 a month. So
So this
if that goes,
more cheaper private, that's what it does.
no, that is private
Right,
insurance.
oh. ooh,
Yeah.
my bad.
Yeah,
Scary.
yeah, so people are just not gonna be insured, is what's gonna happen. And with our Medi-Cal contraction, a lot of people will just.
Blood pressure's rising.
Yeah, no, just breathe through it. There's nothing we can do right now, but yeah. We'll see.
All right. Thank you, Christy and Nikki. All right, well, is there any governance that we have to do? Doesn't look like it. Any announcements in planning? Is there any correspondence? Awesome. Any proposed future agenda items? Okay, well then, we are at adjournment and I will call us adjourned at 6:04. We should keep track. I think that was fast.
That was real fast. Yeah, that's gotta be.
Started like.
And we started late. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right.
Thanks,
Well,
everybody.